This week on football, Conor McGregor, UFC, boxing, and now football. Big Ange enjoyed his trip to Tamworth. Sam Matterface excited about Villa's opener. Darren Ferguson denies the Young family an historic day. Xerxes leaves Saliba red-faced. Lautaro Martinez rudely interrupted.
Buongiorno a tutti.
And Goalpost TV is back for 2025. Hello everyone, welcome to This Week on Football. It is me, Alex. We are back. It's 2025. It's a new year. How have we all been? Hopefully everyone's Christmas has been great. Guys, I know you like to listen and you don't like to watch, but we are really trying to push our YouTube this year. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And if you like it, then great. If you are on Spotify or Apple, then a 5-star goes a long way in terms of a rating for us. Let's get on with the show. Oh, by the way, I am on TikTok for all the best bits. It's at Alex Goalpost. You can go and follow me there. You'll see all of the little clips from the show and a little bit more as well. Right, okay. It's a kind of a different episode this week because I've not had loads to go back on. I normally keep week to week. But I thought I'd do a nice little roundup of how the season's been going so far. So I'm going to give you my predictions for 2025. All of the winners of the major trophies for this season and as it closes out. I'm also going to give you my team of the season so far that's surprised me. So it's like a surprise team of the season as well. And really cool for all you football nerds, I have got a little thing at the end of the show regarding some Merlin stickers. Now, anyone who's old enough to have collected these sticker books as a kid, if you're obsessed with football, you'll know how valuable these books were for you. I had a nice surprise in the post this week and I thought I'd share it with you. So stay tuned for that. And at the end, I have got my weekend treble. So if you want to earn some money, stay tuned for that as well. Right, first, let's do my predictions for the year. By the way, Conor McGregor playing football is absolutely outrageous. And I'm going to put the clip in here of someone on the opposition team trying to start on him. I mean, trying to start. What are you doing? He's pushed him. And, you know, I think he's quickly realised maybe I shouldn't push Conor McGregor. He's a UFC fighter and backs out. But, I mean, what is he doing? He's playing for some football team, which is his pub team, I believe, which is his local. And he's out there playing football instead of fighting, but going into every tackle like he wants to start a fight. It was absolutely brilliant. Yes, my predictions for the year. Right, yes. 2025, I thought, what's going to happen? And I did think, I saw some videos going around about people predicting like loads of crazy things that are going to happen. I thought, look, let's keep it nice and straightforward, halfway point, how the teams that I initially predicted at the start of the season are doing and who I now think are going to win all the different divisions. So let's start with the Premier League. Now, initially at the start of the season, I called Arsenal. And I think a lot of people called Arsenal. And I didn't see City really. I just had a feeling that City at some point, surely has to drop off. I didn't expect it to be this hard, but they have dropped off, and it's actually Liverpool who have taken pole position. My prediction for this season, I think Liverpool will do it. I think they've got what it takes. I think there's something about them this season with Mo Salah. I just don't think there's a player as good as him in the league this season, and I think there's possibly an argument to say that they've got the best defence in the league as well. So yeah, I'm going to go Liverpool. Initially called Arsenal, I'm going to go Liverpool now. Championship, Burnley. I think Burnley are the best side in the Championship. They play the most direct football, the most attacking front-footed. Every pass zips in to a forward line player, a winger, a fullback overlapping, or a striker. Scott Parker, I think, has got a really good argument to say that he's one of, if not the best English manager out there. I know you've got the likes of Eddie Howe and some Premier League managers, but Scott Parker's doing it in the Championship, and the type of football that he's got on a budget that maybe isn't as big as someone like Eddie Howe at Newcastle. I think he's done really well, and I think he's got a really good career ahead of him, Scott Parker. I like the way he is in press conferences. I like the way he treats his players, the way he talks about his players. And yeah, he had a brand of football, and he had to completely, you got to think, overhaul his squad almost, because at the start of the season he had this group of players and loads of them started leaving, and he had to almost maintain that same brand of football with brand new players. So I think, yeah, they're second at the moment. I initially called Middlesbrough at the start of the season. They're fifth. And I don't think it's a bad shout, because Middlesbrough, I don't think many people called them to be winning the league. That they're fifth, and they're probably not going to, but they're having a really good shout for a playoff and maybe an automatic position as well. League One, I called Birmingham at the start of the season. I'm going to stick with Birmingham because they are by far and away the best team in League One. They spent a fortune. They brought in Jay Stansfield. Alfie May came in. They had some brilliant players as it was coming down from the Championship. I know they lost Jordan James, but I think there's a few players that have more than filled in. I think they've been brilliant. League Two, I said initially Chesterfield. They're down in 10th. I'm going to say Walsall, because who else is going to win that now? Walsall are flying. I think they're like 12, 13, 14 points ahead with games in hand as well. They've been phenomenal. Carabao Cup winners. It's difficult because at the time of recording, obviously, we're just after the first leg, and Liverpool are 1-0 down and Arsenal are 2-0 down. I'm going to say Liverpool. I think at Anfield, they'll get the job done against Tottenham. I think they'll go into a final against either Arsenal or Newcastle, and I think they're better than both of them. Champions League, Barcelona. I think Barcelona have a side that completely hinges on a 17-year-old. Whether he's there or not, it seems like Barcelona are so reliant on his presence. It's ridiculous, really, because the team that they've got is fantastic. The team that they've produced a lot of players from La Masia, the academy, Kubasi, Casado, Pedri, obviously Gavi, young players who are just performing brilliantly. Balde, Rafinha's flying as well, and Lewandowski with the experience up top. But there's something about Lamine Yamal's presence that without him, they just don't. Well, when he got injured, they struggled, and you could see that. And now he's back. I think they're possibly putting some of their better performances together. Obviously, a massive win against Real Madrid in the final, and to win a trophy as well and score 5 goals. That's massive. Lamine Yamal is, at this point, I can't see any other player in world football, with the exception of maybe Jude Bellingham, who's going to dominate European football. And I think Lamine Yamal is right on the way. I actually think there's a really good argument that he's been one of the best, if not the best, right winger for the year of 2024, just gone. And he's 17 years old, and he was 16 years old in the tournament. It's mad. It's madness. He's generational. He's going to be the best player on the planet, 100%. And I've never been more sure about anything since seeing Lionel Messi. So, I'm not saying he's Messi reincarnated, but if you ever want to see someone close, you look at the figures, you look at his statistics already at this age, he's surpassing all of the greats. So, yeah, there's a massive future ahead, and we could see something unprecedented with him. FA Cup, I missed that one. Man City. I think Man City will do it. I think this is the time where they'll start to kick into gear. With the FA Cup, I always think it's one of the big teams. It's going to be maybe a slightly smaller team gets to a semi-final, but it's always one of the bigger sides. I think Man City won't go this season without a trophy. Pep Guardiola, I can't even think of a season where he hasn't won a trophy. They'll get it together right at the end of the season, push for top 4, and I think they'll put a run together in a cup as well. Europa League, let's go with Man United. I think Amorim coming in now, finally getting some decent minutes on the training pitch, finally getting himself to the point where he kind of knows his first team, his first starting 11. And I think the players know that as well. And I don't think it's a bad thing, because a lot of the players who maybe aren't in Amorim's first starting 11 know that they've got to really pump up the gears to get into that 11. The likes of Garnacho, you can say Casemiro might sit on the bench, look unimpressed. Garnacho might sit on the bench, look unimpressed, Xerxes, but these players know that if they are not on top form, they're not getting in that side. And I think that's great for competition in the side because, what top team doesn't have great competition? It almost feels like Man United are one of those teams where if you're not in the starting 11, you're trying to work your way into a transfer away. It's ridiculous. Marcus Rashford, Garnacho are prime examples of that. But yeah, I think if they can get a run, I don't see many great teams in that Europa League. I think Man United could be the better team if they get themselves going. They've shown that they can do it against big teams, against the best, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal of late as well. So in one-off games, they can do it. And I think in the knockout phase, hopefully Old Trafford gets behind them and they can win a trophy this season. Conference League, who else but Chelsea? Chelsea are by far and away the best team. Half the teams have got no vowels in them and I can't pronounce them. I don't know what country half of them are from and I'm obsessed with football. If Chelsea don't win the Europa Conference League, then I don't know, football. Even with their second string, there's no way anyone else should win it. Right, I said to you earlier at the start about something for you football nerds. Now, I got a strange letter in the post this week. My cousin has sent me quote unquote football cards. Now, I never collected football cards and he says these are 20 years old. I've looked at them. They are from 2006 and they are not cards. They're actually stickers. Football stickers from Merlin's 2006 annual album. I can't believe they existed. I mean, I had so many of them as a kid growing up and I'd stick them to my wardrobe, to different things. I wouldn't have kept any of them, but he's kept them and they are in absolute prime condition and there's some belters in there. There's some proper nostalgia players and I'm going to go through some of them and I'm excited to go through them with you. So I'm going to show you what kind of players are in that mix nearly 20 years ago. I'm going to put this on film. So let's have a start with Brett Emerton. Oh my God, Blackburn legend. Jerzy Dudek, the man with the jelly legs in that famous Istanbul final. Jerzy Dudek. Stephen Jordan of Man City. Darius Vassell. Oh my God, so frustrating watching him play for England. Fabio Rockenbach. What a legend. That is a Premier League nostalgia merchant if you've ever seen one. Charles Nzogbia, once famously called Charles Insomnia. Svetislav Todorov. I cannot believe these names and I shouldn't know them. I can't believe my brain has left space after all this time for some of these names in here. You've got Ian Walker, once of Leicester City, at Bolton in 2006 there. Nicky Hunt. Bruno Ngotti. Now, I'm pretty sure Bruno Ngotti found his way into Hereford United at one point. Bolton there. Ricardo Gardner of Bolton. JJ Okocha. Now, that is a Premier League legend. El Hadj Diouf. Notorious man, El Hadj Diouf. Not many people liked him. Not many people who played with him liked him. Ricardo Vazte. Wow. Luke Young. Alexei Smirtin. Oh my God, Alexei Smirtin. Portsmouth as well. Jeremy. There's one. Oh my God, Jeremy. Hernan Crespo. I actually forgot Hernan Crespo ever even played in the Premier League. But he did, and he played for Chelsea. One of my favourite goals in existence is still that Hernan Crespo chip over Jerzy Dudek in the final when AC Milan thought they were going to win it. That calm, just little dink over the top. One of my favourite finishes I've ever seen in a football match. Hernan Crespo was some player, and that just defined him. What a goal. Richard Wright, I think he was still playing. I think he's probably still at Man City. Maybe he's one of the coaches. Arjen Robben, prime, or before prime Arjen Robben when he was at Chelsea. What a team Chelsea had then. Stephen Kelly. Anton Ferdinand. Yossi Benayoun, the man who's played for some of the best clubs ever. Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea. Who's that? Vratislav Gresko. Now, I shouldn't remember that man, but I do remember his horrible little face. Frank Lampard, legend of the Premier League. Luis Boa Morte. Luis Boa Morte is the most most Premier League appearances of any Portuguese player. There you go, there's a stat. John O'Shea, legend John O'Shea. Kenny Cunningham. Mario Melchiot. I hated Mario Melchiot. Don't ask me why. Matthew Upson. scored a goal in a World Cup. Michael Forsell. Oh my God. Who's this? Martin Elbrickson of West Brom. Thomas Kuszak, formerly of Man United. Paul Stalteri of Tottenham. Steed Malbronk. These names. Oh my God. Florent Cinema Pongol. What were Liverpool thinking back then? Ben Thatcher, the biggest thug in football. Horrible man, Ben Thatcher. Wasn't he the one who did Pedro Mendes with the elbow and then stamped on Cristiano Ronaldo? I'm pretty sure that's him. Deriva. Middlesbrough had some obscure players. Robbie Elliott of Newcastle. Fai of Newcastle. Nobby Solano of Newcastle. James Beattie, Premier League legend. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, another legend. 100 goal club, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. Julio Arca. Now, I'm pretty sure, and might be just a rumour, but I'm pretty sure Julio Arca was playing for the local pub team that I used to live by back in 2013, 2012. I'm pretty sure that was the rumour, that Julio Arca was playing for a local pub side near Pallion in Sunderland. Don't know if that's true. Julio Arca, write in, confirm. Oh, Anthony Gardner of Tottenham. Young Pyo Lee of Tottenham. Diamansi Camera. I can't believe some of these names. Christian Daly. Graham Kavanagh of Wigan. I loved that Wigan side back then. Ryan Taylor, signed by Newcastle because he kept scoring against them. Marcus Bent of Everton. I shouldn't know all these players. Jimmy Traore. Again, what were Liverpool doing back then? Gail Clichy. Mark Delaney. Mike Taylor of Birmingham. Brad Friedel. Wow, Brad Friedel, a Premier League legend. One of the most Premier League appearances of any player. Alexander Hleb. Lovely player, Alexander Hleb. Look at this legend. This got to be worth something. Cristiano Ronaldo. Wow. That sticker is perfect condition as well. Look at that. Number 309. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep all of them. Jose Antonio Reyes. Rest in peace. Celestine Babiaro. What a legend. Another Celestine Babiaro. How many Celestine Babiaros are there? One's enough. And I got some duplicates. Wow. Some amazing players there. And I don't know if anyone's seen it, but there's like a trend where girlfriends were talking about their boyfriends and being confused that how can my boyfriend sit in a pub with his mates and just name old footballers and have a great time. That's all it takes. I could sit there listing those players and I'm having a great time. I don't know about you, but I'm having a great time looking at all these players. It's the nostalgia when football was football back in those Premier League days where, you know, the likes of Brad Friedel and Celestine Babiaro, Mario Melchiot, Ida Gudjonsson. Great days. Unbelievable. Right, let's do day one fantasy football. I said that I'd do that. We need to have a little catch up on the league. Who's doing well, who's not doing well. I think it's obvious to say that I'm not doing well. I'm in a pit of despair at the moment. I'm down in 15th place out of, I think, 17, 18, 19 of us. To be fair, we started off with like 100 and we had to get rid of a lot of people. I think these are the last people left in, and yeah, I'm not doing great. Top of the leaderboard is Liam Edgar. Liam's day one team is absolutely flying. He's taken a really healthy lead, like sort of 50, 60 points at the moment over Joe. That's Joe Constance, Big Yeti Joe. He's doing really well. Brandon out of nowhere. Apparently, Brandon accidentally captained Alexander Isak and it was a mistake, but it seems to be working out for him. So he's doing really well. Vince is up there as well. Solid performance from Vince. Dale, I told you Dale will come strong. Frank Charles is just behind. Jordan Bamfield, Tom Jordan, Reese Watkins, Will Cahoon, Jamie G, Steve Watkins, Jody Finucane, James Michelot. Sorry, James. I don't know who you are, but thanks for playing. Really appreciate it. Don't know how to pronounce your last name. Mario Ferrain, Conor Hamer, Michael Cooley, and then Elliot Wheaton bringing up the rear. Guys, there's plenty of game weeks still to go. And what I always say about fantasy football, particularly the day one, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You never know what can happen in January. Some of your players could be transferred out and then you've got a gaping hole in your team and no one to fill it. So you better have good substitutions. There's no way I'm going to win it now. I think Liam Edgar's flying. I mean, as we're recording this now, I think Cole Palmer's scored, and I think Cole Palmer's in his side. It'll take some catching, but you never know. It's not over till it's over. Right, I said I'm going to do my Premier League surprise team of the season. So basically, this is all of the players that have made my team of the season that I'm surprised about, that shouldn't have been anywhere near it, but are having phenomenal seasons. And I think they deserve a shout out as well. So, Premier League surprise team of the season. Goalkeeper Matt Sells. I think he's been absolutely phenomenal this season. I think Forest as a whole have been brilliant. 32 years old. Not sort of a transfer you'd expect any Premier League side to make, but Forest took a gamble on him, and now he stands with the most clean sheets in the league so far this season. Interestingly, the most punches of any goalkeeper in the league, and he's not a sweeper keeper. He's had the least sweeping, keeping clearances. That is a stat. Fewest throwouts, but second most goal kicks. What I do think about those statistics is it demonstrates and paints a really nice picture of what Forest have been this season. They've been compact, they've sat deep, they've let teams get onto them, and they've got in front of blocked shots. They've stopped things even getting to a goalkeeper, because he's not even up there on the save count, but he's got the most clean sheets of any goalkeeper in the league this season. I think he's been fantastic. When he's called upon, he's there. He's a traditional old school keeper. He's not being asked to play out the back in the same way a lot of these goalkeepers are. He's been asked to sit there, save things, make sure he gets up and clears things, and that's what he's doing. He's been fantastic this season. Right back, another Forest player, Ola Aina. This is another player that there's nothing about him that says, sign me. He's a solid player, and don't get me wrong, look, comes through Chelsea, he goes abroad, plays in Torino for like 8 seasons, but nothing saying bring him to the Premier League now. He's going to be one of the best right backs in the league, but that's what he has been. He's 28 now and probably in the prime of his career. He has been absolutely phenomenal for Forest this season. I think, again, the Forest backline's been brilliant, and he's been a massive part of that. Centre-back, another Forest player, because I am shocked again. Murillo, 22 years old. For a player so young to play like he's played at centre-back in the Premier League all his life is phenomenal. He's got the most clearances and joint most blocks in the league this season. Again, another picture painted of what this Forest side do. They stop the shots getting to their goalkeeper. They make sure they're in front of everything. They're tight, compact, and disciplined. And that just demonstrates it. Murillo, he can carry the ball. You know, he's built like a fridge. I don't understand him. He's like really stocky, hard to shake off the ball and hard to get round. And that is what you want your centre-half to be. Another centre-half that I'm super surprised about, Nathan Collins. I'm not saying that it's because he's not a good player, but Nathan Collins has amassed almost 50 million quid in transfer fees, and he's just 23 years old. Wolves obviously signed him and then have sold him on to Brentford. And Brentford, not actually the best defensively this season, but Nathan Collins is up there with a lot in terms of the statistics and what he's provided. He has won the most aerial duels of any player in the Premier League. That is massive for a centre-half to do. Obviously, you expect it to be a centre-half, but you'd expect the likes of Van Dijk, some big players at the back, maybe a Dan Burn, maybe a Lewis Dunk. But he is well ahead of all of them. He's even beaten Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and Everton play the ball up to him 3 times, 4 times every 10 minutes. But yeah, massive for Nathan Collins. I think he's been brilliant for Brentford. It's £27 million they signed him for. And look, that is a big risk, especially if you're Brentford, to spend that much on a centre-half. But I think he's been more than worth that fee. Left back, Anthony Robinson. Anthony Robinson's been brilliant. He was good last season. He stepped it up again. What's really interesting about Anthony Robinson is he's got so many assists. He's got 7 assists already this season, but he's also got the most interceptions of any Premier League player. What that tells you about this fullback is that, yes, he gets forward and he's got quality when he goes forward, but when he gets back hard, fast, and make sure he's in front of an opposition player attacking. So he's protecting his back line, but he's also getting forward. That is a super disciplined player, and those statistics are brilliant. Side by side, they're fantastic. They're 2 statistics you want your fullback to be capable of. Lots of assists, but also getting back, intercepting things as well. That's fantastic. And yeah, I think he's probably due a big move as well. Central midfield, I've gone with Moises Caicedo. £100 million flop. And now he's, for me, been one of the best central midfielders in the league. He's obviously filling in a lot of the time at right back at the moment with the absence of Reece James and Malo Gusto, and he can almost play anywhere. I think with Moises Caicedo, it was a confidence issue. I saw him and I thought, do you know what, 100 million quid on this guy, and he's not stepped up. I didn't see it working. He's actually had more touches than any Premier League player, and more passes than any other midfielder in the league. So those touches and passes are normally dominated by your centre-backs, your full-backs typically at big sides. He's had more touches than any midfielder, and he's had more passes than any midfielder, and he's right up there with all the centre-backs in terms of his touches and passes. So that just tells you this is a player who gets on the ball, who dictates play. He makes sure that he gets his team ticking as well. That's really important, but he's also on the end of things, making sure he's tackling, getting back and filling in. So yeah, fantastic. Is he a £100 million player? I don't know, but he's definitely getting up there. 23 years old as well. He's got 5-10 years at the top as well. So yeah, brilliant. Central midfield alongside him, Mikhail Damsgaard. Mikhail Damsgaard, for me, at 24, I think was finding himself almost slipping away from top level football. I think it almost didn't feel like it was working. Thomas Frank maybe didn't have the faith in him, but this season he has. He's had loads of starts this season, and he's definitely in Thomas Frank's first starting 11. He's got assists, don't get me wrong. I wanted to see more goals from him, but he's now got 6 assists. He's actually only behind Cole Palmer in the most through balls played this season. And that's mad, because a lot of creative players in the Premier League, particularly for the bigger sides who dominate possession, Mikhail Damsgaard is ahead of all of them, bar Cole Palmer for through balls. That just shows, again, he's confident. He's actually willing to get the ball, get on the ball, take it past players, but make sure he plays that killer pass. And he's trying to find that 6 assists for him for Brentford this season. And I'm really, really impressed with him, because I didn't see it working out for him. I did see him going that way, but he's picked it up. And this season, I think he's been one of Brentford's better players. Central midfield, finishing off, I've gone for Ryan Gravenberch. Ryan Gravenberch has no right to be as good as he is in the position he's playing. I think Liverpool signed him almost out of pure talent. I don't think they knew or had a plan for him where he was going to play. I don't think they expected it to be kind of a deeper lying midfielder, but that's where he's ended up, and that's where he's been brilliant. He's still young. He's only 22, and you can see there's a talented player there. You can see from his touches, his decision making is brilliant, but you've got a disciplined player. You've got someone who isn't afraid to run the hard yards, get back and fill in for a lot of the fullbacks that get forward, particularly Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's not scared to get back and forward. I think he's brilliant. He's got quality in the final third when he gets there, but all of his play, particularly at the back, is just slow, it's considered, and you can't really say he ever puts a foot wrong. Ryan Gravenberch, I think, will be in the team of the season if Liverpool go on and win the league as well this season. I think he's been phenomenal. Right wing, Brennan Johnson. Brennan Johnson surprised me this season, and I think he surprised everyone. The criticism he was getting was borderline abuse, and I think at times it did spill over to abuse. I think even from the Tottenham fans' point of view, they were very harsh on him, and I can see why, because this is a player who's got bags of ability, was doing really, really well at Nottingham Forest, came in for quite a big fee as well, considering, and they expected a lot from him. Tottenham fans expect success quickly, and I think they've got every right to, but Brennan Johnson wasn't considering his move, and his fee wasn't putting in the numbers. He was getting big chances, wasting them a lot of the time. The amount of times I'd see him run through on goal or have the opportunity to pull it back to a player and miss it and make the wrong decision. But then something happened. I don't know what happened. It is a mental thing. And what's interesting is when you see a player with that ability, you always think there's something in there if he can just get it right in his head. And it took all of that abuse, that criticism, for him to stand up, be brave and go, do you know what? I deserve to be in the Premier League. I deserve to play for a top club. And he's shown that. He is now Tottenham's top goal scorer for the season in all competition. 13 goals, 3 assists so far. And that just shows you, again, a player that is brave, that can stand up to criticism. And when the times really get tough and you're hitting almost rock bottom mentally, he stood up. And I think he's been probably playing the best football of his career. Let's do a left wing. Left wing, I'm going to go with Mateus Cunha. And I think he's one of the, not necessarily a massive surprise because he was good last season, but where he's come on again this season, I didn't know he had it in him. I remember over lockdown watching him play for Hertha Berlin and thinking, this is a special player. The way he was moving the ball, he had flair, he was confident, he was scoring. Then he got his move to Atletico Madrid and you think, right, here you go, here's the stage, a top club, a Champions League side. Can you perform? And he didn't. And I think a lot of people were counting on him, and that then for him to get a move away to the Premier League, I think he probably in his head was thinking his trajectory was a top club. He ends up at Wolves and does really well. But he stepped it up again this season. Last season, 12 goals and 7 assists. This season, he's already on 10 goals and 4 assists, and we're just about halfway through. So what he can achieve by the end of the season could be brilliant numbers and ones that you expect of a forward playing for a top club. There's no doubt he will be moving and Wolves won't be able to keep him. But for this time, while he's there, Wolves fans appreciate him because what a player you've got there. Still 25, just hitting his peak of his career. He's got bags of potential. He could get even better, and that's scary because he's made a lot of top players look silly this season. He's been banging them in from all sorts. He's playing a competition on his own for goal of the season, some of the goals he scored. So yeah, he had to go in there, left wing. Striker finally, Nicholas Jackson. I was wrong about Nicholas Jackson. I made a video about Nicholas Jackson last season that got me quite a bit of heat, and I'm talking a lot of heat actually, which has unfortunately now been removed because my account got deleted. But it was me comparing Nicholas Jackson to some of the worst players who have ever scored double figures in a Premier League season, because I really thought Nicholas Jackson was naff, because you can see there's a player in it and he's almost doing things that I want a striker to do, getting in the right positions, but the amount of times he was wasteful, he'd scuff shots, he'd miss easy opportunities and he'd give the ball away. I think numbers don't lie, and from last season to score 14 goals and get 5 assists, those numbers are fantastic. And now this season he's already on 9 goals. Numbers don't lie for a striker for me, and yeah, you've got to really, I think I've got to concede he's a good player. He's a good striker. There's a lot of things I like about Nicholas Jackson. I think he's actually brilliant on the ball, carrying the ball, holding the ball up. I think he's really good at that. And there is something in strikers these days that doesn't seem to let them get in the right positions, get at the front post, nick their foot on something in the 6-yard box. I think he's got that. It just takes a player to start putting performances together, a bit of confidence, and I think there's a really good player in there. Whether he's Chelsea's number 9 for the future, I don't know, but I'll admit that I was wrong in saying that he was awful. That's my team of the season so far that surprised me. Hopefully you agree or disagree, and let me know if you disagree. Right, weekend treble time. This is the part where I win you some money at the end of the show. I tell you all the teams to back and the results to back over the weekend. You follow me and I win you money. So far this season, we are up, and we are up a healthy amount, £76.51 if you'd have backed my tips with a tenner. It's 3 games, 3 different things that I select and you back it, and then it usually returns about 30 or something quid. It's nice and easy. Most of them I'd like to say win. It doesn't take most of them to win. I've just got to have a decent amount win, and we'll always get profit. I got profit last season. We're well ahead, £76 up this season. So this week, £10 on returns you a nice £33.70. The first selection is Bolton to win against Cambridge. Second selection is Wimbledon to win against Tranmere. And third selection is Barcelona to win away at Getafe. Right, guys, that is the end of the show. If you haven't already liked it, like it. If you haven't already subscribed, subscribe. If you haven't already followed me on TikTok, I'm at Alex Goalpost. Thanks for joining me. I will be back next week, next Wednesday, and every Wednesday until the end of the season.